Hey YouTube family and friends, this is Rev with Rev It Up Car Fanatic Productions. It's Saturday, January 4th. It's about 40 degrees out. I've taken my medicine, feeling pretty good today. And today, what we're going to do, we're going to show you how to change the oil on my 2020 Chevy Trax All-Wheel Drive LS. It's got the 1.4 liter 4-cylinder Ecotech turbocharged engine. So let me flip the camera around. Let's let you look at this little beautiful beast. There she is right there. And we had her 5 months now. We got her back in September. So October, November, December, January, February. We had her 5 months now. And there she is, looking nice and clean. I keep her in good condition. She stays in the garage. Very good looking car. I love those 16-inch aluminum rims that they got down there. And I just fall in love with that Chevy front end. I love the way that front end looks right there. But anyway, when I bought this car, it had 21,000 miles on it. And we'll come into the interior here. I did a review on it earlier, but you see right here, it says 26,640 is when we need to change the oil. Well, if you look here on my dash, I got 26,014 miles. So yeah, I'm 600 miles early on changing it, but it's not going to hurt anything. The earlier the better. It'll be better for it. So this takes 5 quarts of 5W30 full synthetic oil. So the individual I bought the car from, the car dealer, I asked them what brand of oil that they use, and they said they use Valvoline full synthetic. So I'm using Valvoline full synthetic. I'm going to stay with the same type of motor oil. So we'll keep things going here. But so it's not hard to change oil any vehicles, but we're gonna just show you how to do it so you can save yourself money, because to get a synthetic oil change with the filter, and I'm also going to be changing the air filter, so we'll show you how to change the air filter, keep that air filter nice and clean so the car can breathe. But so you can save money, because it can cost you anywhere from $70 to $92 just to have an oil change with synthetic oil if you go to a shop, when you can buy the stuff and get it for under $30 and change the oil yourself. It doesn't take that long. You don't need really any kind of special tools there. You just want to make sure you have a jack, some jack stands, then have a oil filter wrench or whatever type of oil filter you have. This one has a 24 millimeter socket. It's the sock type filter that's on top of the engine, it's not under the engine. And most engines, you know, some have 10 millimeter bolts on the oil pan, some have the 31 hex head bolt, some are 13 millimeters, some are 14, some are 15 millimeters. Just depends on the vehicle. And those are the tools you need to just change the oil, and maybe a screwdriver to change the filter, or maybe one of those hex head bolts around the filter. So I drove the car for about 15-20 minutes to let the oil get up to temperature. You don't want to change the oil when the car is cold, because it'll come out sludgy. But when you run the car for a little while, the oil gets hot and it drains faster, and it drains out any dirt and any impurity. If there's metal in the engine, it's going to stick to the magnet and it's going to come out, and you'll see shiny silver deposits down in your oil. So what you want to do, you want to make sure you chock the vehicles, the tires in the front and in the rear. I'll put it on here. I'll show you. But you want to put a chock here and a chock here, and if you want to, put a chock on the other side, because this is facing uphill. So you could have 2 in the back, and then you want to get the jack the vehicle up and put your jack stands under it. So it's been running long enough, so we're going to shut her off, and we're going to get prepared to change this oil, and we'll be right back. Okay, folks, so let me show you. So I got one chalk behind, one chalk in front. I got my jack centered, and as you can see, I don't have the wheel all the way off the ground. I got the suspension jacked up high enough that I can get under there. I'm a pretty small guy. I weigh about 185 pounds, so I can get under here with no problems. So let's show you what we got. This is an American-made car. So mine is a 5/8. So I got my jack stands right there, and the jack is in the center support. And there is my oil pan bolt right there. It is a 5/8. But what I want to do is loosen up, and this is going to be one of the cleanest engines that you've ever seen. If you know me from Mustang Fanatic Productions, I keep a clean engine. So it's very clean inside here, nice and shiny. So you'll always see this nice and clean. That's just the way I am. So what I like to do is loosen up the oil cap, and you can see it says 5W30, and it must be dextrose. It has to say dextrose on it. It's very important. So I loosen it up, but I don't take it completely off because I don't want debris to get down inside the oil. Then the next thing I want to do is grab my shop towels, and I want to take my shop towel out with me, and I want to pull my oil stick out. So pull my oil stick out. The oil looks good. It's up to snuff. It's not dirty. You could see it. That's a nice looking brown. It's not black. Doesn't smell burnt. But I like to take the oil dipstick out so it's clean. So when I put the new oil in, it'll be easy to read. So then we go up under here with our 5/8, and I got my catch pan under here, and I got one of these ratcheting wrenches, and I had previously loosened it already. And so what we want to do is just loosen it, and if any luck, we'll catch it and not get oil all over ourselves, and the oil go right down inside the drain pan. And I'll watch the oil as it drains. Yes, well, I got oil all over my hand, but it's coming out, and you see it's coming out at a good click. So that's the way you want it to come out, and it looks pretty good. There's no oil here on my bolt, so let me get another shop towel. I'm gonna clean my glove off and clean this bolt off while that oil drains. So this is what we do. We dry our glove off, and we check this oil drain plug. No metal on it. Nice. It's not stripped. The copper washer under here is in pretty good shape. And we take this and set this aside, and then we just wipe our hand off where the oil came on our glove. I like to work as clean as possible. I know I'll end up changing gloves, but at any rate, that's the way we do it. We like to keep things clean. So we're gonna let the oil drip from down there, and we'll be right back. So here's our oil filter right there, where I got it. My You could use a 22 millimeter or a 15/16 socket, and that seems to get the job done. So I got a 15/16 socket to take it off, and then when it gets loose enough, you can just go ahead and pull your extension off. And I want to do this with two hands because I want to pull this up and put this towel underneath here, because oil is going to be underneath that filter. So we'll be right back. Look at that oil filter. That is pretty disgusting. Wow. All right, let's take a look at our new oil filter. And I chose to go with an AC Delco because that's what GM usually recommends, is AC Delco product. You can get the extra guard filter. It doesn't matter which one you get, but I choose to go with AC Delco oil filter. And this is what it looks like. See the difference between those filters? Holy cow. Then it comes with this O-ring. And a lot of times why I love to change my own oil is because you go to a shop to have them change your oil, they don't change these O-rings, and after a while these O-rings get brittle, hard, and dried out, and you'll end up getting a leak. I had that happen to me, and I called the dealership. They said, oh, we don't change those. I said, well, am I paying all this money getting the oil service for if you're not changing these filters and changing these O-rings out? So the O-ring is right there. It's on the very bottom. And what we use, I'll show you a little pick tool. I can't do it with two hands, but you'll get the idea once you see it. You use any kind of pick tool that you have. I seem to don't have it right up front. Okay, I can use this one. Anything like this, any sharp tool like that, or you got this kind with the little hook, and we'll go with this kind right here. And all you do is you want to get it up underneath the rubber and then pull it up underneath the rubber and then go around it, and it comes right out. You need both hands, so I can't obviously show it. So here's the basic idea. You see I got up underneath it and pulled it up to the top, and then I just keep going around and I pull it off. And then what you want to do with the new O-ring, I don't like to use old oil. I like to use my new oil and just coat the new O-ring and then set it back down in that groove there. So the new oil filter, it'll come with those little clips down there, and you just twist and spin until it clicks down in place. And you see the O-ring there is nice and oiled. Now we're going to take and screw this down back into the easy location to where it comes from. Okay, and you want to screw it in by hand so you don't end up cross-threading it. And when you got it as far as you can by hand, then you put your ratchet back on it, turn it by hand with your ratchet, with the extension, and then you put your ratchet back on it and tighten it back up. And usually just go by feel. How you took it off, that's how much pressure you want to tighten it up. Then we wiped off any excess oil that goes there. Remember, that's a 22 millimeter or either a 15/16 socket. Now we're going to go back under and we're going to put our oil drain plug back in because it's barely dripping, so we know we're pretty empty up here. So again, use your judgment, because you don't want to crush that copper washer under there, because then you'll have an oil leak. So first thing I do is put it on like that. Then I get my rag and I want to just wipe the excess oil that's around here, and then get my 5/8 wrench, and we want to set it back so we can tighten this. And all you need is a good little snug, 1 or 2 good little snugs like that. You don't want to strip it. This is aluminum, so you don't want to go too tight and you don't want to go too light. So just enough that it's tight. And so now we're done underneath the vehicle, and we're done on top. That's what I love about not having the oil filters on the bottom. It's so much cleaner and so much easier. And again, let's put this oil in the sun. Look at that oil. You can see that oil is not that bad at all. But that oil filter, this oil filter, it's really caved in, and it's really dirty. That's a filthy oil filter. Look at that crud up there. That's why it's important to change your oil every 5,000 miles or whatever the manufacturer recommend. If this was a 75,000 mile, I would still change it every 5,000 miles. This is how you make an engine last, is by changing your oil periodically. Don't wait until the exact time to change it. You know, if it says 10,000 miles, change it at 75,000. If it's 5,000, if it's 75, change it at 5,000 miles. You know, it's gonna help the car run a lot better. It's gonna lubricate all the moving parts inside the motor, and you'll thank me later. And also, next, we're gonna pour oil in the engine. So what I do is go get my oil spout. I have some for oil, some for antifreeze, and this is what I use for oil. And I want to I use plenty of shop towels. I just love shop towels. And I just love to clean out. I love to clean out everything. Make sure there's no dirt or dust. Dirt and dust is the enemy of your internal parts in your engine. So you want to make sure you get any dirt, contaminants out of it. You don't want to transfer that inside your motor. Then carefully lift up the cap, wipe away debris that may be around the top here. It looks pretty good to me. And then we drop our container in, and I'm gonna fill it up with 5 quarts, and we'll be right back. Just in case any ladies out there or inexperienced guys that's changing oil, when you take the oil cap off, this is where your oil goes in the oil filler, right here. On mine, this has happened to be, and make sure you get the correct brand of oil. I had to get 5W30 full synthetic oil, and it had to say dextrose on it. And so we just keep pouring it in. And I don't quite like to put 5 quarts in right away. So I got about 4 quarts in right now. So we'll check it, because some models say it takes 4.2 quarts. Some say it takes 4.75 quarts. Some say with the filter it absorbs about 5 quarts. And it's bad to overfill and it's bad to underfill. We want to be just right. So we'll let that sit for just a few seconds, and I'm gonna clean up, and I'll be right back. Okay, so while I was cleaning up, I went on, cleaned up my oil pan tray, put that back. I took the jacks from underneath the car. I took the jack off jack stand from under there. I took the wheel chocks from underneath there, and I just did a check on my depth stick, and I am about a quart short, so we're gonna go ahead and add the rest of this, and that'll give us 5 quarts. So I know for sure she takes 5 quarts of oil. I know I'm slightly on the hill, but she was below a quart of oil, so I know with the filter this takes 5 US quarts. And just so you know, you see it says 5W30 SAE Valvoline proven maximum engine life, full synthetic advanced, and you see it says dextrose. So we're safe in that regard. We got the same motor oil, the brand the car calls for, 5W30. It's just your preference, whatever oil you want to use. Pennzoil, you can use Quaker State Mobile One. It just your brand of oil that your favor, as long as it says 5W30 full synthetic oil, and long as it says dextrose on it, you'll be fine. But if you look up under the hood of your car, sometimes the manufacturer has a deal with certain oil companies that they promote their brand of oil. Like on my wife's car, the Hyundai 2012 Hyundai Tucson, it uses Quaker State 5W30, and also it has to be dextrose. So I stick with the manufacturer's brand to be on the safe side, because you know that engine had a recall on it, and we've had the rod knocked. It failed the rod bearing clearance, so they put the new long block in it, and so far it's doing good. She's not near an oil change yet. She's still about 3,500 miles away from an oil change, but the car is doing excellent. But on here, I don't see any stickers that would promote what oil to put in here. This is just some EPA information regarding emissions. It's a fuel, gasoline, conform to regulations 2020, California approved emissions and all that stuff. And that's what that stuff gives you. But usually you'll find information there or around here. I take R34A refrigerant, and it's gonna take 5.7 kilos. I would have to transfer what that would be in kilos. It could be 9 ounces, 6 ounces of Freon, the R34A. But there's no other markings down on here. Now let me also take you, here's a GM VIN number. You want to make sure your VIN numbers are matching wherever you go, and you want to check. Here's another VIN number you'll find right there, and also right here on the inside of the door panel you'll find GM Career Company. Okay, and there's the VIN number of the vehicle. It gives the gross weight 2348, and the maximum, the empty curb weight, or rather, would be 2134, and the manufacturer date was 10/19. So this is a 2020, but it was manufactured in 10/19. Now if you want to find your tire size, you look up here, you get the information for your tire size, and it tells you right here, front tires 205 70/16s, and rear 205 70/16, and the tire group size would be 96H. So any 96H group tire will fit this vehicle right here. And it tells you seated capacity 5, 2 in the front, 3 in the rear. And it tells you your tire pressures that it should be. 35 psi for the front, 35 for the rear, and your spare tire is supposed to be 60 psi. So every time I fuel up with gas, when I get back home, what I'll do, put a gas air gauge on my spare tire and make sure I got 60 pounds of air. So now what I'm going to do is double check and see what our oil is reading here now that we added the extra quart to it. So on in there, let it sit for a second, and we're going to pull it up and we're going to look at it, and it is clean and focused. It is right up to where it's supposed to be, where you see that little arrow at. Focus. It's not focusing properly, but there's a little arrow pointing down to where the full mark is, and it's right there on that full mark, and that engine oil is clear. So we'll stick that back down in there. We'll pull our filled thing back. We'll take our cover, the oil cap, we're going to wipe it off. Make sure no dirt's in it or around it. And when I took the oil filter out, the bottom of the can, I did wipe the oil. I poured the oil out and I wiped it nice and clean in there. So we're going to put our oil cap back on, and we're going to remove this rag down here, which we did not drip any oil anywhere on here. We did a fantastic job on that. So let's throw these dirty towels away. I'm going to wipe my funnel off and put that back, and we'll be right back for the air cleaner. Now we're going to look at the air cleaner, and if you can see, that's a regular Phillips head screwdriver. We got 1 and we got 2, and it just seems like 2, and then it goes into these clips, so we don't have to disturb the mass airflow sensor, which is right here, because a lot of times they recommend disconnecting the negative battery cable before you pull this mass airflow sensor out, because if you disconnect it with the battery on, when you connect it back up, you may get a check engine light, and you have to get somebody to turn off that check engine light. So I'm not going to be disturbing that, so we don't have to worry about that. So we're going to get a Phillips head screwdriver. We're going to loosen those 2 up, and we're going to put our new filter inside of here. We'll see how dirty this filter looks. That oil filter, I got to tell you, that's one of the dirtiest oil filters I've ever seen in my life. It's hard for me to believe that the dealer, when he changed the oil, actually changed the oil filter. How disgusting that oil filter looks. But next 5,000 miles, we'll tell the difference. We'll see if that oil filter looks like that one, or if it looks a little bit better. That's why I love changing my own oil. I know what I'm getting. So let me get my screwdriver, and all we do is just loosen that screw, and then we're going to pull back this way to get these from underneath that clip, and we're going to lay this aside like that, and then we'll pull out the air filter, and we'll make sure we put it in the right orientation with the new air filter. So I'm using the Fram Ultra Fram Air, and the GM number is 11501, and this gives you 40,000 miles of added protection. But I've heard you need to change your oil, your air filter, at least once a year or every 12,000 miles. I've got 26,000 miles on here. I don't know when the last time this air filter was changed, so within doubt, I'm going to change it. So we'll be right back. Folks, I'm just lucky enough to have an air compressor. So there's an air chuck to blow air away, and then there's an air chuck to put air in the tires. So I just blew any remaining dirt that was all around the filter so it doesn't get in there. And these screws, they don't come out, they just come up, so you don't have to worry about losing them. So like I said, you want to pull up and then lift up, and then you can pull back on this just like that, and pull the old air filter out, put the new air filter in. And it's just a matter of just getting your hands underneath here and pulling the old filter out, looking down in there, making sure it's clean inside there, which it is, but I'm going to do some extra cleaning. And this filter isn't too bad. But you can see dirt on the bottom of it anyway. So we'll go ahead and put our, let me clean my box out and we'll put our new filter in. Just look how clean this new air filter is. Look at that. Just this white. Now look at the difference. White, yellow. Look how disgusting that is. And this is just as clean. So this is going to help the car breathe a little bit better. Two things we have to do now. Number one, I'm going to show you how to reset the oil life from year 2015 to 20, I believe it works up to 2020 Chevy Trax. And simply, all you want to do is cut ignition to the on position, and you look at your gauge there and you see where it says trip. What you want to do is on the handle right here. Let me turn the wheel a little bit. On the handle, let me turn this off. On the handle right here, you see this menu button. You push that menu button and see where it says trip. It's going to go over the vehicle. Okay, then you see where it says remaining oil life, 40%. Okay, then you want to, on the end of this nozzle here, you push that in and it says, are you sure you want to reset oil life? And then you use this little arrow here and twist up to yes, and then you push in on the end of it right there again on the end, and you click yes, and now it's at 100% oil life. So we're done with that, and just want to crank the engine and hear how it sounds, get the oil running through it, make sure all my lights go off. I'll let it run for a minute or so. Then the next thing we want to do is we want to peel off our old oil reminder sticker and put up our new one. So we'll take down our old one. And as you see, I got the new one right here set for 31,014 miles. So that's 5,000 miles later. So all I do is peel the back of this off and then stick it up on the window. And that is how you do an oil change on a 2020 Chevy Trax with the 1.4 liter 4-cylinder Ecotec turbocharged engine. Very easy, very simple. Took me less than 20 minutes to do it. I had a blast doing it. I hope you guys enjoy it. Hit the like button, and hopefully we can get some more pictures up on here. We're going to go with our 6-month review shortly and tell you what we think of our Trax, the fuel mileage that we get, and the comfortability, and clear up some of the misconceptions that people have talked about with the Chevy Trax. All right, God bless. Have an excellent day. And here in Conway, South Carolina, the spy balloon is flying over our area, and there are 4 F-22 Raptor fighter pilots just circling the balloon and monitoring it. And all air traffic around this area is closed until further notice. So there's nothing up there in the sky but our fighter pilots. God bless them, and God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Have a wonderful afternoon.